Welcome to the special baseball edition of the Weekly Sportscast with your host, Jake Gould. Brandon doesn't really do baseball, he's kind of a weenie head like that, so I'm here with a special guest, my friend Zaajaguars, and we're here to break down the MLB Trade Deadline and everything that went down, from Machado to J-Hap to Jerry's Familia, my Jerry's Familia. This week's episode is sponsored by Chris Davis, the Baltimore one, not the A's one. Let's get into it. So Zach, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm Zaajaguars. I love sports. I have a YouTube channel. Y'all go subscribe to me. Make sure y'all keep watching the Sportscast. Thank you, Jake, for having me on here.
It's a pleasure. Zach's been a good friend of mine for a long time. He got like 100 followers, subscribers on his channel. Make that 101. Go hit him up. He posts good stuff all about the NFL.
Thank you.
And as he mentioned before, he's an A's fan. His A's got my Jerry's Familia. But we're not on that just yet. We're going to start with the blockbuster deal, the one that I predicted as soon as Corey Seager went down with his injury. Manny Machado to the Dodgers. What do you think about that?
Oh, wow. That is a blockbuster deal. Look at the Dodgers. They got Kershaw, Puig. Now they got Machado. They're definitely going to be a playoff running team.
They're going to be back in the World Series probably with Machado.
Yes.
As long as
Even though Machado is kind of a hothead.
Well, that's perfect for LA. You kidding me?
That's true. That is true.
But yeah, as soon as Corey Seager got injured, what was it, like 2 months ago, I just thought immediately, Machado, the Dodgers got to trade for him. This is a team that goes big, that's been going big as a franchise forever, ever since they were in Brooklyn, and they did it. Machado is one of the best bats in the game. He's one of the rare players that can hit 300. And
the Orioles are garbage this year. They're not doing anything. They're in the rebuilding mode. Machado has this huge contract. They want to get rid of that to start rebuilding, just like what the A's did.
Exactly.
Start, rebuild, get prospects, and then in a few years they'll be back up.
They tried to build around him for the past decade, but it always resulted in like 80-win seasons. Nothing really happened. He's a free agent after this year, and they got a bunch of good prospects from the Dodgers. A win for both sides.
Yeah.
Moving on to the second major move, the Indians got Brad Hand from the Padres, and this is like a classic, just like bolster your pen move. But one I'm more interested in talking about this move is who the Padres gave up. They gave up Francisco Mejia, who is the best catching prospect in the game.
Yeah, what are the Padres doing?
I don't. Well, the Padres got him. That's great. But I think the Indians gave up a little bit too much. Like, that's a hefty price for Brad Hand and Adam Clymer.
Of course they did. You see this in every sport. The Indians are fighting for a wild card spot.
Yeah, and they kind of just did a little bit of overreaction with Andrew Miller still not, playing at all.
Yeah.
But the Indians have always relied on pitching as an organization forever. My own Mickey Callaway was the Indians pitching coach for 5 years. They had the best ERA in the league in that time. So, good for them. Get that wild card.
Well, here's basically what the trade deadline's all about. It's the playoff teams or the teams that are on that playoff run. They're making a push to try to get into the playoffs.
Exactly.
And the other team is trying to get something good for the future.
You really don't see many starting pitchers being moved to the deadline. Mainly just bullpen guys getting moved around, an infielder, maybe an outfielder.
That's true. Except if you're an Oakland A's fan, then you see a star player leave every year. Last year, Sonny Gray, last year, traded. Dustin Fowler.
Well, Sonny's not a star anymore, so.
I know.
Wow.
Go A's.
Well, let's talk about your Oakland A's. Third major move of the deadline. They traded for my New York Mets, Jerry's Familia, still one of the best closers in the game.
Yeah.
Still had
We gave up-
51 saves 2 years ago. Still has a 2.5 ERA. And
yes. And we gave up some prospects.
yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. Our management is trash. The Wilpons are the worst owners in
Yeah.
the league. They did not want to take any money. They're selfish whores. So we really didn't get as good as a haul as we could have gotten. We ended up getting Will Toffee, who's a pretty good infield bat in the minors. He's in our AAA. And Bobby Wall, who's a reliever. We love getting relievers for veteran free agents.
Yes.
He actually just recently got called up. He's been doing all right in the majors. But the big thing that we got here is I'm talking about is the international money. We got
That's
$1 million. We got $1 million from you guys, and the Wilpons love using international money to sign big. They like international free agents. They like signing the guys from the Dominican Republic at 16 and then cultivating them in the minors for a couple of years. We did that with Familia. We did that with Rosario, Dominic Smith, and
Yes.
I mean. But yeah, you guys are lucky you got Familia, man.
Yes, the Oakland A's, that was a very good trade because they needed relievers. They needed the pitching. If you look at it, their pitching's been struggling before that trade, and I'm glad they made the push because it's really helped them over the past month get to the second wild card spot now.
Yeah, well, we still have Blake Tran, who was an all-star this year and one of the best
That's
closers
true.
in the game this year.
That's true. When I met him, that was the day he blew that save against the Astros, which hurt.
Ooh.
That
Besides
Yeah,
that, though, this man's been balling this year. Familia is an amazing backup plan for him and a great eighth-inning setup guy. Hasn't given up an earned run as an A in the 3 weeks he's been there, so.
yes.
All right, let's moving on. Another closer trading teams. Zach Britton of the aforementioned Orioles went to the Yanks. The Yankees now have 4 closers in their bullpen. That's unbelievable. Their
Like I
pen is
said,
stacked.
every year, it's the Yankees, it's the Red Sox. It's always in the trade deadline. They always go for those big star players over the sucky teams every year, no matter what.
Well, we knew the Yanks were going to be active at the deadline for pitching,
Of course.
especially because
course.
their starting rotation is so shaky. But their pen is stacked. It's unbelievable.
Yes. And Aaron Judge is on the DL now. That's hurting them. They just got swept.
And Sanchez.
Yes. I almost forgot about Sanchez. That is really hurting the Yankees. And now the A's are only like 2.5 games behind them for the first
Yeah,
wild card.
it's really not looking good for the Yanks. I mean, they're like 9 games behind the Red Sox now. And the Red Sox have one of the best pitchers in the game and the best hitter in the game on their team. Although Chris Sale's on the DL too, so.
Yes, but the Red Sox are on pace for breaking their all-time like franchise record for wins in a single season.
They've never gotten 100 wins. And they can do it this year.
Yes, they can.
But anyways, back to the Yanks. They got Zach Britton, who was a great closer this year for the O's. The Yankees now are 4 guys that can get a save for them in Britton, Dylan Bertances, Daniel Robertson, and of course, Aroldis Chapman, one of my favorite bullpen relievers. Yeah, there was that blockbuster trade for him in 2016 where the Yanks got Torres back and then traded right back and signed him right back the next year. So,
Yep.
All right, moving on.
He's got the cap space. Well, there is no cap. They got the money.
That's true. Let's move on. Another bullpen move. Joakim Soria from the White Sox went to the Brewers. He was another great closer, 2.5 ERA this year. Hurts my fantasy team. He was getting me some really good saves for the past couple of weeks, but that's good for the Brewers. They going for that NL wild card, and they made a couple other good moves later in the deadline that really helped their chances.
Yes, like I said, they're going to be teams with the chance at the playoffs are going to be making trades to try to get them to push. Sometimes they're going to be ridiculous. Some of them are going to be, like, smart.
This is also good for the Brewers because Soria has, like, I think a year or 2 left on his contract, so he's not just a rental.
Yes. That's what most of these trades are, if you think about it. Like, some of them, like, when the A's usually trade, it's for, like, a rental for the year. Like, a few years ago when they traded for Lester, when they had that blockbuster trade with Cespedes. and Lester. They rented him. That's pretty much a lot of these trades, if you think about it. Just renting guys to get them to the playoff push.
Yeah, and it's weird because, I mean, half of these teams will lose in the wild card game, or then just lose 4-1 or get swept in the first round. But anyways, talking about the Pinstripes again, they added J Happ, who pitches well against the Red Sox, but still only has like a 4.5 ERA this year. What do you think about J Happ?
I mean, he's a good guy. If he can get the push, he can get the push. He can do well for them. He can do well. You know?
I mean, I think the biggest thing for the Yanks is that he can pitch 5 innings better than like Domingo Germán or Sonny Gray can. And also, he is a sub-3 ERA against the Red Sox for his career, which is big. This is like a very just anti-Red Sox move for the Yanks.
Yes, it is.
But they gave up Brandon Drury, who was in the majors this year. He had a pretty good season this year, hitting around 250, 270, a couple of dingers. But after Miguel Andujar just like caught fire, never stopped in April, May, he was just a depth guy. But Drury is a good piece for the Blue Jays, who already have a top 5 minor system.
Yes.
So I'm just waiting for Vlad Jr. to get called up.
Yes, once again, the Blue Jays, I think we can all, establish that they're kind of in rebuilding mode. They dumped Jose Bautista. They're in rebuild.
Who's now New York Met.
Yes.
Who hit a walk-off grand slam.
He hit a grand slam?
He hit the first walk-off homer of his career as a Met, and it was a grand slam.
Oh, wow.
I watched that moment live, man. My mouth was open for 2 minutes straight in shock, I swear.
Wow.
But yeah, people thought we were going to try to trade him at the deadline for something. That didn't happen. And, I mean, we still could do it through the waiver trade deadline, but, I mean, he's in
how many years does he have left?
He's 37 now. I mean, he could still be a pinch hitter guy because he's a great eye in the box. He draws a lot of walks. So
yeah. Has a good as bat flip.
That's true. One of the best ones in the history. Moving
How
on.
many do you have on his contract?
He's a free agent after this year.
Oh, they honestly should have traded him. They also something about the trade deadline is the upcoming free agents, which is what a lot of the ace trades are. They try to get something for him before they lose him.
Yeah, that's what the Mets have been doing for the past 2 years.
Yes.
Moving on to the Chicago Cubs. They traded for Cole Hamels.
Go Cubs, go! I don't know what that is. I don't know why they do it. It's their tradition. They finally won a World Series.
They had to wait 108 years. Give them that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the A's haven't won it since '89, but I'll take that over winning 108 years.
Yeah, well, Cole Hamels, he was with the Texans this year. He only had like a...
Oh, yeah.
He had a 6.4 home ERA, but a 2.93 ERA elsewhere. So the Cubs are just hoping that he's just like a victim of a bad park, because Texas is by far a hitter's park. And, I mean, they're hoping that with Yu Darvish just not being good at all this year, and they let Jake Arrieta walk, and just no real, ace emerging from this usually really good staff this year. They're just hoping to get another guy that can just throw a good 6 innings.
Why would you get Yu Darvish? I mean, we saw what happened in Game 7 of the World Series. He choked worse in Game 7 than the Atlanta Falcons did in the Super Bowl.
So that's a hard feat to do.
Yeah.
Moving on, the Snakes in the Desert, the Diamondbacks added Eduardo Escobar from the Twins. You like Escobar?
Yeah, he's all right. Anyways, I know we're past the Cole Hamels, but I think he got traded from Texas right after the A's game where the Rangers blew that 10-2 lead after 7 innings, and I was watching that on TV. It was unbelievable. watching my team come back.
I used to know that feeling when we were 11-1. I used to.
Yes.
I used to be happy as a baseball fan.
I couldn't believe it. We came back. That shows a team that doesn't quit. Fights till the very end.
Yeah, just like my Brooklyn Nets, but that's a discussion for another time. But anyways, yeah, Escobar, he can play second, third, and short. Arizona's had a really bad infield offense this year outside of Goldie, so this is good for them. Especially they've been a team that people thought were really going to, like, be a powerhouse this year and really haven't lived up to that. So good for them.
What about Greinke?
Greinke's been all right. Corbin has been their ace. He's been doing good for me in fantasy. They got Robbie Ray back from the DL, who's just a strikeout machine. And they revived Clay Buchholz, too. You know about that?
Yeah, I don't know how you can play fantasy baseball too much every day.
It's summer, man. I'm bored. I can stick with it.
That's true.
But yeah, this D-backs team is in a tight race with the Dodgers for the division, so. Alright, moving on to...
Prediction, the Dodgers are going to get the division.
Oh yeah, for sure. After they got Machado.
Yes. Do you think that the A's can catch the Astros for the AL West title?
It would have to be in these next 2 weeks, because the Astros have, like, all of their all-stars in the DL now. What? They got McCullers in the DL, they got Altuve in the DL, they got Springer, they got Bregman. This is the time to do it. You gotta go, you have to get, a 7-game winning streak now if you have any chance of doing it.
And I've been telling myself it's like Moneyball Part 3. 2002, 2012, and now 2018. You know, it's crazy.
I mean, I really thought at the beginning of the season that the Astros would be able to repeat as World Series champs. But with this recent injury plague, I really think the A's have a chance to sneak up.
I knew that the Astros would be good, but I got to see them in person, which was unbelievable. But I can tell you something. These Astros fans are way too cocky. They act like they're from Boston.
That's just Houston people as a whole, I think.
Yes, but I've never seen so many people in an Astros game than I did this year. It is crazy. I remember going back first time in 2013. It was like they had children's tickets. An adult ticket was $7. A child ticket was $2. It was $9. Me and my mom would get in, and you could just sit down there right behind the dugout.
Well, that's when they sucked.
It looked like a minor league baseball game.
That's when they sucked.
Real fans who were there.
Well, yeah, you know, our very own Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp get more people to come to games than the Marlins do. So
it's the Marlins. They came in there and got rid of everybody. I mean, how can you let Stanton go? Especially the Yankees. It's like he was putting them out.
They wanted to build around them, but they kept winning 75, 80 games with that, completely all-star outfield. It was the right move for them. And, hey, they're not even in last place anymore.
That's true. Barely. It's a tight race.
Speaking about the last place team in the NL East, my New York Mets, we dealt Cabrera to a division rival, the Phillies, for Franklin Keome, who was ranked as a top 100 prospect at the beginning of the year, but hasn't been that good this year. But it's interesting for the Phillies because, Cabrera's a great bat. He's an okay defender at best. But they're moving him back to shortstop, where he hasn't played in 3 years because he's gotten old and a little thick. So that really hurts their infield defense, which already has been struggling. But yeah, he's a great bat. I'll miss Cabby a lot.
Yeah, gosh, Cabrera. I remember the Tigers days.
His Indians days were the best.
I know, but I remember on the Tigers in the playoffs, him and Verlander were just killing the A's. Ugh. Verlander was the worst.
Yeah, man, that Tigers team had so much potential to be nasty if they kept all that talent. They had Verlander, Scherzer. They gave up so much. Now all they got is Abreu left.
They had Prince Fielder. Prince Fielder. Yes, I remember. Actually, what was it? The Astros fans were saying to me, because I was they said that Kate Upton actually comes to the games when Verlander was pitching, and he pitched against the A's and he lost. So Kate Upton got to see the Oakland A's beat her husband's
There
team.
you go. Rub that in. It's interesting what they're doing with Verlander because he's considered to be one of the best pitchers in the game this year still at 35, which he definitely is. But he only goes 6 innings because they try to preserve him. So, like, it's weird. That's just weird to me to think about. Like, what would happen if he went, like, 7 and 8, like the DeGroms of the world do?
That's true. I think the Astros would be, even winning some more games.
I mean, they just don't want to take the risk of them hurting him because having a 35-year-old ace is always a problem.
Yes.
All right, moving on to another trade. Mike Moustakas, Moose Tacos, the Met killer, traded to the Brewers. Great move for them. Him and Cabrera were like in the same boat of like those great infield bats.
Yes. Once again, rebuilding.
Royals, as soon as they won the World Series against the Mets, rebuilt it instantly. I mean, they got some good guys in Brett Phillips and Jorge Lopez, especially Lopez. But, Moustakas is going to be a great bat for them. They're going to have a little bit of problem with him and Travis Shaw, where to place them on second and third, but, still overall a great deal.
This is the first year I can say where I didn't cry on the trade deadline because the A's did not make a bad trade.
There you go. They didn't mess up. Look at that.
Yes. Thank you, Billy Bean.
Moving on, talking about another very controversial trade. The Astros trade for Roberto Ozuna. Well, what the hell is going on with that? Talk to me about that.
God, once again, the Astros... There's so many trades in the AL West. Every team's gunning for that AL West title. Even the Angels. Come on.
The A's are under 500, dude. They're wasting Trout.
Yes. Mike Trout just needs to go. Leave.
Trout and DeGrom need to be traded to a contender.
Yeah, like the A's.
Yeah, your dreams.
For half the year. Yeah. But, the Astros, once again, now they got players on the DL. They're trying to make that push. They want to get the number 1 overall seed in the American League to play the wild card team. They want to outdo the Red Sox. The Red Sox, how many games ahead are the Red Sox?
9 above the Yanks.
9 above the Yanks? Well,
yeah.
Let's see. The number 1 seed plays the wild card winner, so whoever that is. I think the Astros made that trade to make even more of a playoff push to try to get the best record in the league.
But Azuna's still suspended, and he's doesn't have a good history as being the most reliable reliever. But I think they just got pissed off at Ken Giles because he had that tantrum on the mound and just gave it up.
I was there. The tantrum game against the A's.
Historic.
I was there. All the fans were booing him, too. That was crazy. That was the night where the freaking walk-off happened, where the ball went in the dirt, and then Lucroy threw it to first, and it bounced off of Bregman's batting helmet, and then that whole play was the wackiest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, but the Astros blew a 4-0 lead that game, and all the fans just started booing him, and then they cheered when when A.J. Hitch made the call to the bullpen and took him out.
You messed up when your own fans cheering. That's all I can say about that.
Yes.
All right. Talking about the Yanks once again, they added another starting pitcher in Lance Lynn. They gave up Tyler Austin, who was another really good, young depth guy. But, they're relying on pitching again. Lance Lynn is also kind of an anti-Red Sox move as he has good numbers against them. And, he's now going to replace Sonny Gray in the rotation. Sonny Gray had a really awful start against the Orioles. It's 2.2 innings and 7 earned runs. Lance Lynn came in first appearance of the Yankee, pitched 4.1 scoreless innings in relief with 5 strikeouts. He deserves to be in the rotation over Sonny this year, definitely.
Yes, he does.
Good move for the Yanks.
Sonny Gray lost his spot. They brought this other guy in to try to see what he can do. And from what this looks like, he beat out Sonny Gray.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I've always liked Lance Lynn, even though he only has like a 5.3 ERA this year. I mean, still better than Herman and Sonny, so. Moving on, Red Sox got Ian Kinsler. That just helped with some of their injuries.
God, that man's been everywhere. The Rangers, the Tigers.
Oh, yeah, he passed around a lot.
At one time? Or something. I know he was on some other team. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I can't believe he's still in the league. How's he doing this year?
He's a good bat. The Red Sox have had some infield injuries this year, so he'll help with that.
Yes.
That's all I'll say about that.
Another one of the former Tigers killers.
Correct.
Cinder, Cabrera, Fielder. Yep.
Now the Pirates, all of a sudden, won 15-5 for the deadline. They decided they're a contender now. They added Keon Kela from the Rangers, who was...
I still can't get over what the Pirates did in letting McCutchen go. That's still...
I mean, they're making up for it now. They're having a great push all of a sudden. They were at the top. They started good at the beginning of the year. Then they had a really prolonged slump, and now they're back in top. Adding Keon Kela, who was amazing this year, 24 to 25 saves. And he's under contract till 2021. So the Pirates, this isn't just like a brash contention move.
Definitely there'll be an extension in the next few years.
Yeah, the Pirates are surprisingly doing well. All right, moving on. Another big move. Braves added Adam Duvall, who, although he's only hitting 200, still has 16 dingers and 15 ribbies. This is great for the Braves. They're making a push. They are contending now. They are now rebuilding. They are in contention now. This young core is up and coming. Hasn't even reached its potential yet.
They kind of remind me of the Oakland A's from just a few years ago.
Adam Duvall's going to be a great bat for them.
Yes. Definitely, they're going to stay a contender for the next few years.
Oh, yeah, them and the Phillies are the future of the NL East.
Yeah.
My Mets are out of it, I'm afraid.
Well, there's always next year.
That's what we've been saying forever.
Yes, but a World Series in the last couple years.
Yep. All right, another weird outfielder dealt. Tommy Pham of the Cardinals, who are supposed to be a contending team, got traded to the Rays, who were not supposed to be a contending team. Both of these teams are around 500. I really don't know what happened about this, but, I mean, Tommy Pham had his first, good year last year, but it was an MVP caliber year. So,
yes, once again, I think they did it to kind of start rebuilding.
I really don't know what the Cards are thinking. I mean, it's good for the Rays because he's under contract through 2021, although he is 30 already. But I mean, outfielders can last a while, so. All right, moving on. Another major move. Brad Ziegler got traded back to the Diamondbacks. I mean, it was dumb for the Marlins because they just really swapped relievers. They got a minor leaguer, Tommy Eval, back, but it's good for the D-backs. Ziegler was with the D-backs for 6 years, and he was great. He had a 2.5 ERA this year with the Marlins, so good for them. That's all I'll say about that. I mean, moving on.
Yeah.
The NL East Phillies getting stacked. Got Wilson Ramos from the Rays, which is a great move once he comes back from the DL. Because he has
push.
Oh yeah, he's been the second best catcher in the league this year after JT Realmuto. He was an all-star. And I mean, it's good because they don't need him to make an impact already because Jorge Alfaro has already been amazing for them. So once he comes back from the DL, that's probably the best catcher duo in the league.
I agree.
Dodgers made another move, brought Brian Dozier from the Twins to play second.
Yeah, gosh, what has happened to the Minnesota Twins?
Yeah, that team used to be...
Last year, they were a wild card team.
Yeah, they made a surprisingly good push last year and just really did not work for them this year.
Yes, Moneyball did not work for them this year. And I know somebody who works for the Twins in the statistics, and to me personally, I say I'm sorry that y'all are doing bad this year.
But yeah, Brian Dozier, he's not been as good as he usually is this year, but throughout his whole career, he's been a second half player. He heats it up in the second half. The Dodgers are a team that heats it up in the second half. Perfect move, perfect match.
Yeah. I think the Twins are going to try to rebuild for next year and make a playoff push. Yes. Daniel Adler, you're a great guy. Best of luck next year.
I think they need a couple more years of rebuilding before they can become relevant again, but we'll see. All right, talking about the NL East once more. Atlanta Braves got Kevin Gausman and Darren O'Day from the O's. Gausman has been a popular pitcher to be moved to the deadline. He's a young guy, 4.5 ERA this year. And that helps the Braves because they got Mike Soroka on the DL and Julio Teheran not being that good. Darren O'Day is another good bullpen arm, which helps them as what's his name? Argelis Vicanto still on the DL. I mean, good move for the Braves. They didn't really give up that much. Some money and a couple minor league relievers.
Once again, rebuilding.
Contending. It's clear as crystal.
Yes.
Talking about the Pirates for the last time, I believe. Trying to contend again, Chris Archer. Oh my goodness, got him from the Rays. He was probably the best pitcher to be moved to the deadline this year. They gave up.
I remember seeing him last year in Tampa play against the A's. That man is good.
That man has potential, and he's showing it. He is a major league pitcher. The Pirates, he may be the best pitcher in the Pirates rotation now, either him or James Italian. But they gave up Austin Meadows and Tyler Glass now, who are two very major league proven players. So, I mean, this is really good for the Rays because with this and the Fall move, they're making moves to like be a contender in the future. The Pirates got a guy now who's going to be in control for them for another couple years.
Playoff push, helping them out next year, too.
Playoff push, baby. And
I still can't believe they won 11 in a row. That's crazy.
My Mets did that too, man. Look where we are now.
Yeah.
All right, talking about the final trade of the deadline, the Brewers making another big money bat move. Got Jonathan Schoop from the Orioles for another Jonathan VR, who's a major league proven player. Couple minor leaguers. Jonathan Schoop is another great infield bat for the rebuilding Orioles. The Brewers really improved their offense so much by the deadline. And, I mean, it's good to see them like, making something of the talent that they have. Because they've been a very mediocre team for the last couple years. And, I mean, they just had a lot of good impact bats this trade deadline.
I still remember years ago when they had Carlos Gomez.
Cargo, yeah. The golden days.
Yes, but once again, the Brewers are trying to push.
And they could probably do it this year. Because, I mean, baseball's a weird sport, man. It's so based on luck and just chance. So anything can happen. It's going to be a very interesting final 2 months of the season.
I mean, last year, the freaking Indians broke the A's winning streak.
Yeah, 23 straight games.
Yeah.
All right, well, that about wraps up this episode of the Weekly Sportscast.
Yes.
I'm glad I finally satisfied you baseball fans.
Who do you think benefited the most from the trade deadline?
Who benefited the most? Oh, that's a good question. I'm trying to wrap it up too soon. It has to be the Dodgers because of Machado. It has to be. Either the Dodgers.
If I was biased, I would say the Oakland A's, but since I'm not going to be biased, I would have to say the Dodgers.
I'd say the best deadlines are the Dodgers, the Brewers, the Yankees, and the Braves.
Yes.
And the Rays.
Going to put Yankees in there.
Yeah, so this finally wraps up this episode of the Weekly Sportscast. Thank you all for listening.
Comment down below.
I'm glad I satisfied your baseball hearts. Comment down below. Subscribe to Zaajaguars, and we'll see you next week. See ya.
Keep watching Sportscast. I promise I'll be back on another episode as long as Jake.
Zaajaguars will be back. Good friend of the pod for years to come. Have a good one, y'all.
Thank you for having me.